When we first saw the Suzuki Ignis in Australia, the car formed the basis of the Suzuki Works rally car. So in the same context, how does this new one go? It's a bit smaller than it looks. Righto, well here we go. Hopefully we'll do better than that guy. Now, although the Ignis is marketed as a crossover, much more than, say, just a straight city car, and is sold as an all-wheel drive in some markets, it isn't in this one. I say we go back to town. The 2017 Suzuki Ignis is a new breed of fun, ultra-compact urban crossover that's helping give the Japanese brand, well, the most interesting lineup they've had since the 1990s. The Ignis uses design elements from the 1970 Suzuki Fronte coupe, including these vent-like strakes on the C-pillar and headlights embedded in the grille. It's a pretty cute looking thing. This top-spec GLX has LED running lamps, a little bit of chrome trim here and there, alloy wheels, even a contrasting roof panel. There are 6 colours available, including some pretty bright shades of orange and blue. It looks tiny, but is actually a smidge longer than the Suzuki Sierra Jimny 4x4. You get a wide stance with a wheel at each corner, allowing a 2.5 metre wheelbase and good entry and departure angles for light adventuring or rally driving. There's even 180mm of ground clearance. At the back, the turret tapers from those wide arches and it's actually really narrow at the top, only about 1 metre wide, which makes the Ignis look even smaller than it actually is. The boot, it's about 260 litres, which is, well, roughly the same as a Mazda CX-3. If you need more space, you can fold down the seats 50-50 to expand to over 500 litres. Speaking of which, it's actually pretty roomy in here. There's plenty of headroom thanks to that tall turret, even for taller people like me. There's a central bottle holder down here and one in each of the doors, plus a single map pocket, but that's about it. What is cool though, you can slide each of the seats forward if you want more room in the boot or passengers to be closer to the front on each of the 50-50 side seats. Plus each one has an ISOFIX mounting point. Now I will say though, there are 5 seat belts, but this thing is strictly a 4-seater. Up here too, you kind of forget that you're in an ultra micro anime character of a car. I'm pretty comfy in this driving position. There's still stacks of headroom and there's plenty of goodies to keep you entertained. A 7-inch touchscreen is standard and it supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as offering native navigation and a reverse camera. There's digital climate control, cruise control, a speed limiter function, even keyless start. But then get a load of the interior design. The black and white dash looks really cool. The white plastic feels like something you'd find on an esky lid, and there's even some fake carbon fibre here. Plus these cool orange highlights, well, they make the guy feel a little bit stylish. Now don't get me wrong, the materials are pretty light and cheap, but it makes a really refreshing change from just one large slab of dark coloured plastic. You can even swap out the orange for blue or white, depending on what you like. Under the bonnet is a 1.2 litre 4-cylinder dual jet petrol engine, and it's the same one we're going to find in the forthcoming next generation Suzuki Swift hatch. It offers 66 kilowatts or 88 horsepower and 120 newton meters, which, well, in both cases isn't very much, and both of those figures come on pretty high in the rev range, so you've got to work the little guy pretty hard to get the most out of it. But given the Ignis weighs just 850 kilos, well, it's enough for a bit of zippy city running. Just don't expect the Ignis to race away at high speeds. 100 kilometers an hour is found, eventually, after about 13 seconds. Just watch the tacho move. It's like a clock. The trade-off for all of that though is some pretty impressive fuel consumption. Even with our quite zippy running about and a prodigious use of the air conditioner, we're seeing less than 6 litres per 100 fuel consumption. So if you get the car out and manage to stretch its legs in sort of an 80k zone, you'll see even less than that. There's a 5-speed automatic transmission, which makes the Ignis a pretty easy thing to live with. You can drop into a low gearing mode or even a sports overdrive to help hold gears should the going get a little steep. There's no manual shift override either from the steering wheel or from the shifter itself, and I can't help but think the little Suzuki would be, well, a lot more fun if we had a traditional 3-pedal manual gate down there. But even like this, it's still quite entertaining to drive, and certainly a lot easier if you're predominantly dealing with urban living. It has a ridiculously small turning circle as well. Makes it really easy to zap down nimble laneways and, well, to chuck those all-important quick U-turns if you're dealing with city streets on a day-to-day basis. But more impressively, the ride is pretty good, especially for such a light city car. That extra suspension travel and ride height that gives it the crossover stance really comes into play when you're dealing with rougher roads and, say, transitions from cobbles and gutters. It sort of bumps around rather than crashing and thumping. It's not super comfy and super light, but it's certainly impressive for a car of its diminutive stature. Now, you do still get drum brakes on the back, which are kind of hidden behind the hubs of the wheel, and the front brakes, well, they look like CDs. But dealing with the 66 kilowatts and the amount of speed that you're going to be doing in the Ignis, well, you don't really need much to pull you up. It really is light and nimble to kind of chuck around corners and things. It's a very easy car to live with. Vision out of the Ignis as well is pretty good. You do sit up nice and high for a small car, and the big windscreen, side windows, even the weird kind of C-pillar, thanks to those strakes, and I'm driving along a cobbled street, by the way, hence the noise, makes it quite easy to see out of the little guy, and certainly gives you enough vision for those quick darty movements you need where it's well, very much the quick or the dead when living in town. But look, bottom line, and I know we've said it a few times now, the little Suzuki Ignis, it's pretty good fun. Well, it's no rally car, but nor is it just a city car either. The 2017 Suzuki Ignis is that new breed of multi-mode crossover vehicle, part urban hatch, part retro runabout, and part fair weather adventurer. It's small, but funky and surprisingly roomy on the inside. Plus it's well equipped, not just in terms of equipment, but it's equipped to handle the variety of driving that predominantly urban living is going to throw at you. Sure, it's light and cheap in places, and you do need all 88 of those horses all of the time, but it is good fun, and that downright cheery and friendly demeanour makes the Ignis pretty hard not to like.